Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And today we're talking about Star Wars Lucasfilm reportedly relying on The Mandalorian to revive interest in the saga. So this is from our boys over at comicbook.com. Here, Patrick Kavanaugh. And what's most interesting to me is that the title already is saying something that's quite interesting, especially coming from Star Wars media. The very fact that they're actually admitting that there needs to be a revival in the interest in the saga. They seem to be implying that there has been lost some interest. I wonder why. I wonder why that could possibly be. It couldn't possibly be because of Star Wars The Last Jedi being a garbage film with a terrible narrative. It couldn't possibly be that. And of course, comicbook.com, even though it admits the reality, which is that there does need to be a revival with Star Wars. There does need to be interest, being brought back into it, and also that it would probably be smart for Lucasfilm to focus on The Mandalorian to try and revive these efforts, seeing that they have Jon Favreau, who is a good filmmaker, who knows how to make a good story, who knows how to craft a good product, and putting a lot of their eggs in that basket. It makes a lot of sense to me that they would do that. However, it doesn't fit the narrative that they've been trying to push along. Remember how before Bob Iger came out, it was like, oh no, Star Wars is fine. Are you kidding me? Look at all the money. Look at all the monies that Kathleen Kennedy has brought in. Oh my goodness, the billions of dollars. But now all of a sudden, ever since Bob Iger came out, they've kind of changed their tune. Bob Iger admitted that there was too much too fast, in his own words. Even though obviously anyone that's paying attention, anyone that knows anything at all, knows that that's not actually the situation, knows that that's not actually the case. And now you have Star Wars media. Now you have comicbook.com, which has always been very pro Kathleen Kennedy, very pro this administration, very pro identity politics, very NPC in their approach. But what we see here is a little bit of the truth sticking out, but of course, just like everything else, it's covered in manure. So let's see what it says right here. It says, the state of Star Wars fandom is currently complicated, to say the least. Oh, to say the very least, comicbook.com, what you do best. Leading Lucasfilm to seemingly struggle to determine the best way to not only appease as many fans as possible, but also push the saga in new directions. There's no problem pushing the saga in new directions. You see, they say, oh, it's complicated. We're not against them pushing it in new directions. If those new directions make sense, if those new directions make sense from a narrative perspective, the problem is that the choices that are being made here are being done for the sake of identity politics, not for wanting to actually tell a good story. That is the reason why you have so many people who are angry, who are not really interested in Star Wars right now, who have no plans to see Episode 9, and have no plans to really even... There's so many people who have no plans to see any Star Wars ever again. That is how mad, that is how bad right now the state of Star Wars is. You try and say, oh, it's complicated to say these. No, it's pretty clear. If you pay attention to what most fans are saying, it is quite clear what the current state of Star Wars is, and also the reasons why behind it. Recent reports regarding the licenses that Lucasfilm is seeking for its upcoming live-action Star Wars, The Mandalorian series, could confirm they expect the show to become the key to reviving excitement about the galaxy far, far away. So there is the truth. They expect this to be the key to reviving excitement about the galaxy. Why is it lacking? Why is there no excitement in the galaxy? Please tell me. Why is there no excitement in Star Wars right now? You have no answer to that question? You seem to say, oh, well, there's no excitement anymore. I'm not going to really go into why that's the case, but let me talk about just how bad these racist and sexist are, because that's where this is going. You just know, you already know in your mind that they have to talk about, well, we're kind of, prepping up that there's something wrong here, but I guess we got to be honest, right? I guess we got to tell the truth. No, let's just, push up the same old narrative nonsense. According to The Blast, Lucasfilm recently filed a number of trademarks for toys, games, handheld units for video games, books, school supplies, temporary tattoos, clothing, and footwear. Temporary tattoos. Woo, I want a Mandalorian temporary tattoo. I'm going to put it right on my forehead. That's where I want to put it. While all this merchandising has often been emblazoned with the Star Wars branding, OT, celebrate past projects, the series is likely a year away from debuting, with these trademark applications likely hinting that the promotional campaign will start long before the series debuts, which makes sense. They kind of need to build excitement, because why? There is no excitement in Star Wars. Again, that was kind of ruined by The Last Jedi, and then continued to be dampened by Solo Star Wars Story, which was a giant mess. But, let's just be honest, right? Let's just be honest. Let's talk about what's actually going on. Given the mixed... Given the mixed reactions, the mixed positive reaction. Remember, that was the big thing coming out of Solo. Oh, it's mixed positive reactions. Yeah, they didn't want to talk about the audience score when it came. They didn't want to talk about the audience score when it came to Last Jedi. They said, "Oh, well, that's just Russian bots. Oh, that is just Russian bots. NPC cannot compute." That's what the line was there. But then for Solo, because it was only slightly better, it was in the 60s. They said, "Oh, it's it's not totally negative. It's mixed positive." And it's just amazing that these people cannot accept the reality, cannot accept the truth of the situation. But going on to this, mixed reviews, mixed reactions to most Star Wars offerings of the past year, and with Star Wars Episode 9 still 14 months away, The Mandalorian could help get Lucasfilm's fan base back on track. So again, they're admitting that there's something wrong. They're admitting that the Star Wars fan base is not on track. Why could that be the case? Oh, because of mixed ratings. If it was mixed, you wouldn't have this problem. You would not have this problem if it was mixed. You would not have Solo: A Star Wars Story losing $200 million at the box office. That would not happen. There is no film that George Lucas would ever make that could probably lose that amount of money because, one, he would always spend the money the way that he needed to, and two, he never made a film that lost money when it came to Star Wars. Again, show me a movie that he made in the Star Wars universe that didn't make money. Please, I'm waiting. Oh wait, that's right. I can point out one film at the very least that's going to lose Star Wars money. Solo: Star Wars Story, and Episode 9 probably won't fare that much better. Maybe a little bit better. Obviously, I still think it's going to range around the $600 million, $650 million minimum that it should rake in, but of course that could always change, especially if the film gets really bad reviews, which, again, I'm not really expecting. I'm expecting it to get fine reviews from both audiences and critics alike. The problem is that they've ticked off enough people, and they've continued to push the same narrative forward that at this point, it is far too late for many, many different people. Dating back decades, and most famously kicking off the release of the prequels, Star Wars fans have always been passionate about the saga, no matter whether they love or hate elements of the series. That's very true. Again, very, very passionate fan base. That is absolutely true. Star Wars: The Force Awakens and Rogue One: A Star Wars Story weren't universally loved by fans, but they both saw more positive responses than the films in the prequel trilogy, captivating audiences with excitement and adventure. Okay, well, here's where we start to get into some, not quite so bad. So again, so when it comes to Force Awakens, most people liked it. I will agree with you. You say not universally loved. I would say if there's any film that you could say was universally, again, for the vast majority, enjoyed, Force Awakens was. You can just look to the audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes or on any score site. They were very passionate. They were very positive. Rogue One, same thing. I wasn't a big fan of it, but a lot of people were. A lot of people liked that film. So you can already see that they're kind of they're basically trying to set the stage for their next point. They're trying to set the stage saying, oh, don't worry, just wait. We're about to lay down the hammer in a second. Oh, here we go. The release of Star Wars: Last Jedi, on the other hand, wasn't entirely the success the studio was looking for. Well, that's putting it one way. I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest for a second. It did make $1.3 billion. Of course, it didn't make 100% of that money, but it turned a profit. It turned a profit. But Far Cry, $700 million Far Cry, from the $2+ billion film that The Force Awakens raked in, and not only that, but you also have to look at the aftermath of The Last Jedi as well, where not only did it only make $1.3 billion, not only did it lead to dismal, again, when you compare it especially to The Force Awakens Blu-ray DVD sales, but also, what did it do to Solo? If you're going to try and make that argument still like, oh, Solo wasn't successful because of the behind-the-scenes stuff and because it came out in May and Star Wars fatigue, etc. If you're going to keep on that same line of thinking, at this point, you literally are lost. There is no way that anyone can reach you, because the fact is that it was the negativity that came out of the Star Wars: Last Jedi. It was the negative reaction by the fan base that led to fans saying, well, I don't really want to see Star Wars anymore. I'm not really excited for it. Oh, now you're going to give me a film that I never asked for in the first place? So you have to be honest here. You have to at least follow the breadcrumbs to their logical conclusion instead of saying, oh, wait, there's the end. Oh, wait a minute. I want to go over here instead. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Audiences might have been oh boy. Audiences might have been as mixed on the film as its predecessors, but certain subsets of fans, there it is right there, quotes of fans, they're not really fans, focused on sexist and racist motivations for their critiques, which inadvertently lumped all critics of the film in with the hate groups. Oh yes, because we're hate groups. Just because we're critical of Rey, just because we're critical of Finn and Rose Tico and all of these other characters, that automatically makes us racist and sexist. It has nothing to do with their character arcs being nonsensical. It has nothing to do with the fact that, Rey being a Mary Sue still doesn't make any sense. It has nothing to do with with Finn's character going off on a stupid tangent, a stupid character arc when he was being set up to be something really cool, and then decided just to destroy him. Yeah, I mean, that's nothing to do with those things. It's just because, it must be my microaggressions or something, because I must not be able to tell that I have some kind of hateful spite in my heart for people of different sexes and races. I mean, apparently I'm just a racist, sexist. I don't even know about it. Oh my goodness, these NPCs, they just cannot stop. Racist, sexist alert. The numbers of fans versus critics of the film are debatable, but the detractors are undeniably the most vocal, making the entire fan base at large feel more toxic than ever. And there it is right here. This right here is the core of everything, because then it's going to end up saying, oh, well, 6 months after, blah, 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 here's all these other things, blah, 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 blah. This is the crux of what they're trying to say. This is this paragraph right here. This paragraph back here. In fact, you know what? Let me try and zoom in it for you. Let me try and zoom in. Yeah, let's zoom in. Yeah, look at that. There it is right there. This is the crux of the entire thing. Talking about how audiences might have been as mixed on the films as its predecessors, but certain subsets of fans focus on sexist and racist motivations. You cannot go into any article written by the mainstream media today, especially when dealing with Star Wars, because this is beyond Star Wars. This is a part of our culture now. You cannot be against anything. You cannot be against anything that this NPC SJW mindset brings about and still not be called a racist or a sexist. It truly is amazing to me that you can just have a difference of opinion. You can just have your own thoughts on a film franchise, on an overall concept of a film, and yet somehow having that thought, thinking that Rey is a weak character, thinking that Star Wars The Last Jedi was narratively flawed, thinking all those things automatically, by default, makes you a racist or a sexist. Now, am I denying that there are some very, very small few, like 1%, if not less, of fans, and that's where I would put the fans, that might be racist and sexist? Sure, because guess what? No matter what you do in culture, in any society, you're never going to get rid of those people. There is literally nothing you can do. Even if you try to wipe them out from existence, they would still exist, because human nature is flawed. You cannot stop human nature. Again, does it mean that we have to like it? Does it mean we have to accept it? No. If we see actual sexism and racism, we need to address it head on, because those are major issues. And I'm not trying to say that it doesn't happen, but for you to try and say that people like me, people like Jeremy Geeks and Gamers, people like Anna Star Wars Girl, people like Jesse Milestone, people like John Talk Star Wars, people like Ethan Van Sciver, all the guys over at World Class BSers, if you're trying to talk about all of us, all of these people trying to say that we're somehow these closet racist, sexist homophobes just because of our opinions on a Star Wars film, and just because we do not like NPC politics getting put into our films, just because we don't like NPC SJW identity politics in anything that has to do with Star Wars, or for that fact, anything ever, because it has no place in our society. It has as much place in a society as racists and sexists do. It is a fringe idea. It is a fringe concept, and it is something that most people, most common sense people, don't want and don't care for it, which is why you see the culture moving the way it is, and that's the reason why you see so many people jumping on board the whole NPC meme, because it's hilarious, and it's true. I'm sorry, I could literally say anything. I could say, Star Wars is okay, racist! And that's what the reaction would be. And those are what the NPC memes are saying. But apparently now, it is now hateful to compare a person to an automated program, saying, oh, you're dehumanizing them. No. I'm just laughing at the very fact that they have become a caricature. They have become an absolute caricature of themselves, to the point where they cannot even think about having a civil discourse, a civil discussion about anything. Why? Because all they have to do, all that's on their minds is, oh my goodness, this guy's just a racist or sexist, and I can't have anything to do with him. And this right here, these two words have been so overused in our society, have been so overused in our culture. It's what's driving our culture down the drain. But guys, what are y'all's thoughts on this? I mean, obviously, I do think, going back to their main point, or I think their secondary point, because I really do think this is the main point. Again, every article that you read about this nonsense will have a paragraph dedicated to the talk of a toxic fan base and how there's a bunch of people who are racist and sexist and so-called fans, even though it's maybe 1% of all people, and yet they're going to lump in the 40 to 50% of people who have a problem with The Last Jedi with those people, and that's just obviously not fair and just not realistic. But I would love to hear your thoughts on whether you think The Mandalorian, again, getting back to the secondary point, as I would say, do you think The Mandalorian do you think they're going to put enough into it to try and bring Star Wars fans back? I honestly think and could see that happening. I see the same thing happening with Episode 9 too. Notice how they're essentially releasing things things at this point. I honestly think they're now intentionally leaking certain plot points to try and get people genuinely interested. But the problem is that that's never going to happen if the current people running Star Wars keep doing what they're doing, which is to try and force down identity politics and also continue to allow other people, you know, luckily we have had some good news recently with Chuck Wendig getting the axe, but there are still people out there like Rian Johnson who continue to perpetuate this false myth, who can continue to perpetuate this false narrative, and it would be great. It would be great, and this is a way that you could possibly win some fans back, Disney, if you stood up for your fans. But guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. You are all amazing people. I love you guys. Have a great day, and as always, God bless.